This morning, the death toll in the United States from coronavirus is nearing 11,000 people. But we're also hearing incredible survivor stories. Our next guest spent 17 days hospitalized with COVID-19, including 6 days on a ventilator before being discharged last week. And David Latt joins us now. David, it is great to see you at home and looking healthy. What a crucible you have been through for those 3 weeks. Let's just start at the beginning. You describe yourself as a healthy 44-year-old. You didn't smoke. You have no underlying health conditions. You ran 2 New York marathons. You were in good shape. Can you just quickly take us through what happened leading up to you having to be intubated on a ventilator?
The only caveat I would add to my health condition is the one thing I did have, which people should be aware of, is I had exercise-induced asthma. I would get a little short of breath if I exercised. This was very well managed. I had an inhaler. It never bothered me. But there are probably a lot of people out there who have conditions that are similar that don't make a big impact on their day-to-day lives, but they should be aware of, because if you get coronavirus or COVID-19, it can make things a lot worse for you. So turning to my story, I had symptoms of a flu in early March. I didn't really think much of them. I had them for about a week, and then things got worse. I had a hard time breathing. So eventually I went to my local emergency room at NYU Langone Health Center, and eventually I got admitted with a shortness of breath. They tested me for coronavirus. Turned out it was positive. I was in the hospital for a few days getting oxygen, and then I wound up on the ventilator.
Yeah. And so you were on a ventilator for 6 days. And I don't have to tell you how grim the statistics are for people who go on ventilators. Most don't come off, actually. And so do you have any memory of being intubated and having been on the ventilator for 6 days, or were you sedated the whole time?
So they do give you anesthesia before they intubate you, put you on the ventilator, because otherwise you'll resist the tube being put into your mouth to help you breathe. So I remember the intubation a little bit. It was like a scene out of ER or Chicago Hope or something. But I have no recollection of my time on the ventilator, which is interesting because I've since read that some ventilator patients have hallucinations, delusions. I don't remember anything.
But I know that time was really hard for your family, obviously. I mean, that's the story that we keep hearing, that the patient may not know what's happening, but the family is, sitting vigil and just praying that your body will respond. And you were given, I believe, some of these experimental drugs while you were in the hospital. So the hydroxychloroquine, which we hear so much about, with the Z-Pak, which we hear so much about. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but the remdesivir.
I have some reaction to that. Apologies. I just tweeted this out late last night.
Yeah, tell me.
I asked a doctor to look at some of my patient records. It turns out some of the things that were discussed were not actually given to me. So I got the hydroxychloroquine. I got, with the Z-Pak, with the azithromycin. I had a drug, an antiviral, before that called Kaletra, which is used for HIV/AIDS. And I also got a drug while I was on the ventilator called clazakizumab, which is for people with lung failure. So those are the drugs I received. I think I might have misreported some of my drugs previously, which is why I did that correcting tweet on my own Twitter account.
Okay, super helpful. But I mean, were doctors able to tell you what they think worked on you?
No, it still doesn't change my bottom line. My bottom line, as I've been saying, is, look, I got multiple things. I got better. Did they help? Did they work together? Did they do nothing? It's too early to say.
Yeah. You were active on social media from the hospital, and why did you want to peel back the curtain, literally, to take people into this experience of yours?
Well, initially when I went on Facebook and Twitter to tell people I had coronavirus, COVID-19, it was because I wanted to let any friends of mine or contacts of mine know that if they had been in contact with me, they should be careful, they should get tested. That was my original impetus. But then I found that people were very interested in getting more information about this mysterious new disease. And so I just kept on tweeting and I just kept on writing about what I was going through.
And once you were extubated, once you no longer needed the ventilator to breathe, what was it like to talk to your family and see your son?
So it's funny. I didn't appreciate how long I was on and what the agony that my husband and parents were going through, because as I said, I was out of it. And then when I came back from off the ventilator, I kind of just went back to what I was talking and thinking about right before I went on the ventilator, even though it had been a week ago. I had asked my husband to bring some books to the hospital. And so I asked him, did you bring those books? It didn't really dawn on me yet.
Right. Time had stopped for you, like frozen for you. And then you came out of your, sort of unconscious state and you were like, hey, where are those books? And your husband was
exactly.
You've been intubated for 6 days. What a story. It's really, I think, helped people that you've shared it with, because people are so desperate for any information, particularly from survivors. David Latt, thank you very much for being on New Day. Great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.